So when Celtics head coach Brad Stevens decided to go with Semi Ojeleye in the starting lineup, many of us weren't quite sure how Jaylen Brown was going to respond. He ended up having a team-high 21 points and was the bright spot of what was a very bad loss against the Bucks. This segment is brought to you by 1-100. Head over to 1-100.co where you can score tickets to go see the Bruins, the Celtics, and the Patriots. The first entry is absolutely free, so head over to 1-100.co and sign up and score some tickets. Jimmy, let's start with you.
Okay.
Jaylen Brown, I mean, we've seen a lot of different versions of Jaylen Brown throughout the regular season. Wasn't quite sure how he was going to respond to the secondary role in a game against the Bucks, in a game where this team was obviously short-handed, you know, a few guys out.
Yep.
And Brad Stevens elected to go with Semi Ojeleye and Daniel Tice in the front court. But he did respond off the bench. What did you like out of Jaylen Brown?
Yeah, it's the many faces of Jaylen Brown, I call it. It's like a roller coaster ride it's been with him this season. And I think that his mind and his, you know, everything's in the right place. I think he wanted to go out there and be aggressive and do all the right things. And I think for the most part, you saw the aggressiveness out there. I think what the fine line now is at what point are you trying to be too aggressive and you're not maybe making that smart play? Because there were points in the game where he would make a good defensive play, get out on the break, and just wildly try to throw something up in traffic. We saw that in the third quarter, and I think that kind of changed the game where he had a couple of, I don't want to say breakaways, but he had a couple of fast breaks where he just couldn't finish in transition. And then the Bucks would go back on the other end, drain a three. Like there's a 5-point swing that takes a 10-point game to a 15-point game. Things like that. But then on the other hand, he goes and throws down a monster dunk.
Right.
And, but then he flexes, and then he gets a T, which I think, on the record, I want to say is a weak tech. I hate everything about that tech. Let the boys play.
Right.
That being said, though, it's just like you're all over the place with Jaylen.
Yeah, no. And just going off that, I mean, he was very efficient. He shot 57% on the night. But if you looked at him from the first two quarters, that was not Jaylen Brown. Like, the floaters he was throwing up, all the bad decisions. But he just kind of kept moving, kept going. And it's like you said, it's that roller coaster ride that Jaylen Brown provides. So
yeah. Well, I felt like he didn't look like the Jaylen Brown who just seems like he's just doing his own thing. Like, that's what I didn't like throughout the first, I don't know, few weeks of the regular season. Kind of felt like he wasn't in the same playing field with the rest of the starters, which I think is a big reason why when they made the adjustments for the starting lineup, that sort of helped him to regroup, come back strong, and that's exactly what he did. We saw a little bit of that, you know, in the beginning, but then you saw him attack. You saw him attack the rim. You saw him, you know, make himself available for open jump shots. You saw him find his guys, you know, make passes down low. That's the kind of Jaylen Brown you want to see because obviously we know his athleticism. We know what he can do. He can blow by defenders. He can finish strong. And also he can draw in the defense. And that's exactly what he did. He found open guys throughout stretches. I did like that out of him when he dunked on Giannis. Obviously, it got the crowd going, got his team going.
Absolutely.
The technical foul is a buzzkill.
That's exactly it. It's a buzzkill.
And I still thought the Celtics were going to respond to that, but they just never did. Right.
I think that's what I hate about the tech. It's like it totally zaps the energy out at that moment. I don't think it was a necessary tech. Did I think Jaylen Brown needed to flex on him like that? No. But I don't think it, like, that's just the boys being the boys.
And at that point, that just kind of energizes the team, you know? I feel like it's a noteworthy moment in the game. And it's, you know, it's kind of interesting because Brad, after the game, was like, it was good to see him get going because he has been putting in a lot of work in the weight room. And so, you know, it's good to see that he might have started off a little bit messy, but he got better in the end. So.
He's trying, and one of the things I don't know this, but obviously he was in that meeting, that players and coaches meeting after the game, and one of the things that Kyrie Irving was saying to the media was that, you know, guys need to not be selfish. Guys need to, you know, make the play that's best for the team, not the play that's made for themselves. And he wasn't specifically targeting any player in general. I have no idea who was getting, you know, the brunt of it in the locker room, but maybe a guy like Jaylen is searching, you know, for himself a little bit because he's trying to find his game, and maybe he's not making the right play that he should make, or maybe somebody like Tatum, you know, for example, is not making the right play. So these guys, they're learning, they're still young, but it's just been up and down with Brown all year. So I think consistency is something that you really want to see out of him more as the season progresses.
I agree. We'll see how this other team bounces back Sunday here at TD Garden when they take on the Charlotte Hornets.